This is going to be a very interesting lesson for you, and in this video I would explain that how you can create these uncommon grid layouts. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Sufyan, who wrote this article and which explains very much about it. But we will go one step ahead of it, right? So Sufyan mentioned a very useful tool, which is CSS grid generator, and he mentioned that he used this code generated to customize his layout. So you can go through this article and it will explain that how you can create this kind of a structure where the first item is covering two columns and then every item is kind of on one column, right? So you will be able to understand that how to create this structure. But the structure I want to create is this one with only one collection list. So let's just try to understand the structure first, that how many columns we need for this design. So you can see that I just wanted to display 4 items, so I created a CMS list limiting it to 4 items, right? And now I can see that how many columns I have. So let's try to go and let's try to understand the structure, right? So I have 3 columns there, right? So this is the first column, this is the second column, and this is the third column. So this is the first row and this is the second row, right? So let's go to the CSS grid generator, and let me just reset the grid. Okay, so I think, yeah, so let's reset the grid, and there I have to mention that how many columns I require and how many rows I require. So I need, I according to my design, I need to have 3 columns and 2 rows. So you can also change the number of columns from here, but let's go with 3. So you can also update the rows from here, but I need 2 rows. So you can also add the column gap and the row gap. So in pixels, if I go with 1.5 rems, so I can type 24 and I can type here 24, right? So this is the design structure, the grid structure we want to have on the website. So now the next thing is you have to define that how each item will be placed on the grid. And for this specific part, let's go to this grid and let's try to click and drag. Yeah, so I just click and drag from column 1 to column 2. So if I click on please may I have some code, so you can see that it added some CSS code there. So this is our first item and this is the grid area our first item is going to cover, right? So let's go with the second one. So this is going to be our second item, this one is the third, and this one is the fourth. So if I click on please may I have some code, so I can now see that more CSS is generated and each item has its own grid area, right? So you do not have to worry about what these numbers are about. So you can just click and drag, you can see how it looks visually, and you can go and you can now copy this code. So the next thing is we need to create this grid first, right? So we need to create this grid. So let's just copy this code and so on my page what I have done is I have added the code embed. To see everything visually, So I just added a code embed just right below to this blog collection list, and let's open this one to understand. Okay, so I just copied that this part, just copy it and paste it by inside the style tag, right? And you do not have to keep this class as it is. You have to replace it with your CMS collection list class, right? So my one is blog CMS list. So let me just show you that from where it's coming. So this is this class which contains the CMS item, right? So just copy this class and paste it there, right there. Okay, so when you save, let me just go step by step. Let me just put everything in comments. Oops. Okay, I think because we have the comments in the middle, so that's why we are unable to put everything in comments. So what can I do is I can okay, let's so now we have everything in comments, and let's try to save this one, right? So now what we have on our page is, so now we have a grid with 2 rows and 3 columns. So now we want to render the items based on this grid area. So now you can just copy copy these grid areas from here, and let's try to understand that what's happening on the next step. So let's try to remove these comments. Yeah, so now what's happening here? So inside the blog CMS list, each item with nth child, so this is the first one, right? So the grid area will be this one. So inside the blog CMS list, the item which is the second one, this will have a grid area which is this one, right? So if I now save it, so now you can see that my every item is according to what we added inside the CSS grid generator, right? So now we are not targeting it with a class because our CMS item does not have any specific unique classes, but we are targeting each item with this code, right? So this is the first one which will contain this is the second one, third one, fourth one, and because in my case we have only 4 items, so we can keep this structure as it is. So what's below there? So this is just a different grid area based on the screen width to just make it responsive, because we don't want to have the same structure on the mobile screen, on the tablet screen. So we have a different layout on tablets and mobile. So these lines are for mobile, and these are for the tablet. So this is how we can generate a uncommon grid structure for one CMS collection in Webflow.